Good afternoon all. Thank you for coming for what promises to be an interesting panel because we have a nice diversity of people on the panel and they have all done, I've looked at everybody's courses, right, and they're all different, as they should be. You expect people to teach the way every course reflects their teaching style. And hopefully this panel will give you ideas about what it takes to do a hybrid course, the experiences of building and teaching a hybrid course, why the panelists even bother teaching a hybrid course. It does take a lot of work. I'd like to first to tell you that I'm not going to lie. I think everybody here will agree that it does take work, but we are here to help you with this. So to start off with, I'm going to go down the line and I'm going to ask the panelists to take a deep breath and do what I call a one breath introduction, which is, I'll demonstrate. Good afternoon, I'm Sunay Balsare. I'm the Associate Vice Provost for Digital Learning. I'm a geophysicist by academic training and have been doing technology to match my ethnic background for a long time now. But I want you to go a little bit deeper. So they're going to do introductions. Tell us a bit more about which department you belong to, what course you teach, and how long you've been teaching a blended course. Okay, so let's start.
So take a deeper breath.
Yes, take a deeper breath.
So my name is Bruce Rudy. I'm a assistant professor in the management department in the College of Business. I teach predominantly strategic management at the undergraduate, graduate levels, and then I also teach PhD seminars. In terms of the specifics to this panel, I've hybridized my strategy course, and I've been teaching it now going on 3 semesters. So I started it launched last spring, so spring of 2015.
Yeah, my name is Viviana Roja. I'm a professor with the communication department. I teach international communication, intercultural theory classes, and whatever they ask me, I can teach. My background is in journalism, so working all the time with news and visuals, I thought that we could do wonderful things with hybridizing or teaching online. So my class, the class that I teach is international communication, could also be called global media. And I've been working with this. I asked a student to help me with the design, so my idea was peer-to-peer, so something attractive for students. And I've been teaching this class since spring 2014.
My name is CJ Chen. I'm a professor in electrical engineering. I have been teaching online, actually hybrid course 3 years ago, since 2014. This is my 3rd time actually offering a hybrid course. So every year I actually revise it, and right now I think it's in good shape. So I'm gonna share with you today about my course. And we also have a bigger plan in the department, also in the college, trying to create more hybrid courses and also online courses, especially to establish some of the certificate program through this process.
That's perfect. These are the perfect segue, actually. So why did you start teaching development hybrid course? Was it departmental need? Was it you felt your students needed something? So.
Okay, the reason actually for me,
Yeah.
Actually, I studied 3 years ago, and at that time there was no any engineering course actually taught, using hybrid delivery or even actually other methods. So it's always traditional classroom methods. So at that time I thought a lot of other departments already doing this for a long time, and we never offer anything like that. So I actually thought about it, and also actually online learning office actually offer grant at that time. So I wrote a proposal and I got supported, and that actually gave me the motive to offer this course. And I regret a little bit later on, but actually right now I'm very happy. This is something helping me a lot. So that's the motive. Yeah.
Excellent. So we heard Viviana's motive because you wanted to leverage new media that you were seeing all the time, and so you decided to do the international journalism course.
Well, I do teach international communication, and the idea for me at that moment was to come up with the MOOC. I mean, just go. I follow closely what they've been doing in journalism at UT Austin, and they're offering MOOCs. I don't know how they finance, but I would like to socialize this knowledge. I mean, this was a creative effort, and I would like it to put it out there. So that would be the ultimate goal. But there is an institutional goal. I mean, the fact that they need classrooms, so I know I could empty one. However, I'm not going to lie. Students in my class, that is, they consider content intensive. They think some of them in the evaluation said this class should be face-to-face all the time. But when it's face-to-face, it's the same phenomenon. So one thing that really this creating a hybrid did for me, it made me to structure more, to organize more, to think about every module and objective. I'm carrying here the principle of good practice. I mean, the training was good, the readings that I did. So nothing is at random when it's a content placed on Blackboard. So that's what it did for me.
What do you, Bruce?
Yeah, so for me, it was really a confluence of two events. Our department chair at the time was encouraging us to create hybrid courses, for the same challenges, opening up classrooms and kind of creating the ability to meet the needs of and requirements of other students. And so I had that component, but then really, what I teach is strategy, and I teach in a structure called case studies. And so for the 5 or 6 years that I taught this class, basically my class was, my face-to-face classes were designed where, the first 30 minutes of every class, I would go over content, topic information. This is what a business strategy is. This is what corporate strategy is. This is what global strategy is. And then I'd spend the last 45 minutes in class doing a case study. So let's take this topical content knowledge and let's apply it to this real-world scenario. And what I realized after taking the hybrid academy, or doing the hybrid academy, was that I could take the content stuff, which is really just almost like commoditized knowledge. I can put that online, and then I could spend my entire class time talking about the case. So I could get the students further along, and then we could really go deeper into the case in one sitting instead of breaking it out over 2 class periods. And so that's kind of the what motivated me to go out and do this, and then it also obviously motivated me to do it in a specific way for that particular teaching style.
So since we're talking about students, that you were able to get students to, so that tends to be a very popular way of doing hybrid courses, which is take the didactic content and put it online, and then spend your rest of the class time in active learning strategies, active discussing things, which we know is an old strategy, really been working very well, but we keep giving new names to the old thing. So it's good to talk a little bit more about the student learning outcomes. We looked at your student learning outcomes. Do you feel the students are, I'm sure observationally they might be doing better, worse? Grades we know are not necessarily the fantastic indicator, but I think you have a good idea of how the students respond to it. So let's talk about that a little bit and unpack that idea of looking at learning outcomes. And
Sure.
Does this modality help students? Ultimately, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, so it's been a learning experience for me as well in this process. I think when I put this together, and as Sunay suggested, right, this was no small investment of time. When I put this together in my mind, the students were going to walk into class for our one class day, and they were just going to be ready to talk about strategy. And we were going to have this seamless transition. And so a lot of thought went into how I designed these online content modules, and working with Marcella and Diana about this. And so that was my intended strategy. My realized, right, kind of what actually happened was the students would oftentimes do the module earlier in the week. They wouldn't quite be ready when they walked into the class. And so there were some evolving processes that I went through, which was, okay, well, maybe the first 5, maybe 10 minutes of class needs to be a review of what we did online, kind of help bring those thoughts back up to the surface, get them focused on kind of what we're going to be talking about today in terms of the applicable case content. And so, but it did take me some time to figure that out. Once I got that in place and got the students up to, they'd all seen the same content, they'd all gone through it now. Some may have gone through it more superficially than others, but they at least were approaching the case with a level of knowledge. Once I was able to kind of, bring them all to the same level, then the overall case discussion went very well. In fact, in a lot of ways, it went better than when I taught the case traditionally. When I taught the class traditionally, what would happen is on a Tuesday, I'd get a lot of really energetic discussions, but then when I circled back around to finish off the case on Thursday, it's almost like they had forgotten what the case was all about and what we were talking about that day. So, it was a trade-off. There was tweaking, and there continues to be tweaking on my part to make sure that I get the students, I can get them to the point where they're getting the most out of the class.
I think they're learning that there is a more structured content. I have to write. I have to do research for each module. Let's see, there is a unit on development in Latin America. I have to fill it. So I have a book that goes along the topic, but I had to write about 6 to 8 pages per module and do my research. So it's like a little paper for each one. To the point that one time I said, I have an ebook here. All my chapters, every material, this ebook is on global communication. So I thought about that. And so I have to write. So I tell them, read the modules, the soft shock modules, because those modules are my lecture. So it's like me speaking, me writing, and you really need to be on the side of, besides reading your book chapter, you read the module, and then we have a conversation. So one of the things, I try to keep the interaction alive. For that, each module, and they told me we cannot show visual, start with the video. So 5 minutes of a video. I had to write the script, I had to be in camera, and Jose Carrillo, bear with me, for 14 recordings in 2013, 14. So every module start with videos. The transcript is also attached to the module, and I didn't do the, captions, but sometime I have for titles, credentials, stuff like that. But that took about 7 months. So I want the students to get accustomed to my accent. So that was the first thing. So I have an introductory module that they see before they come to my first class. So they decide, I don't want this teacher, I want this teacher. And then each module starts with a video that is a compressed summary of the content that we're going to treat in that unit. That video, it took time to produce. Then each module has a PowerPoint. Each module has text, has a soft shock, and each module has a reading quiz in advance to the week. So reading quizzes are due on Sunday. Usually Sundays are the reading quizzes, so the student have to, for 1% each one. And then on Monday, there are discussions due. So it's a lot of grading and a lot of administration. So one of the things I wanted to say today is that I become an instructor, but also an administrator of my course. And I have to be on top on weekends, on Sunday, because if there is a problem, the other day I didn't put the setting for being released at a particular time, then I get emails like, hey, the quiz is not available. Then I have to check. So I have to be on top. I'm still, even though I've been teaching this for five semesters now, I'm still, you have to be aware, you have to be, because what you lose with the hybrid is the interaction. So you gotta be on top to replace that interaction with questions, with quizzes, with materials that they read in anticipation. So you have to, be empathic of how they're going to react. They wait until the last minute.
Well, so does all this work lead to better learning outcomes? So have you seen your students' scores improve? Have you seen students' engagement improve or decrease? It may be either.
My class has always been either they like it or they don't like it. So there's a very extreme comment and a group of people in the middle. But I started my first version, 3.8 evaluations. I don't like the quizzes inside the modules. I like them on the left tab because that's how I'm accustomed. So very picky things on how they were trained to use Blackboard. So, I don't like the full videos. I don't like this. But Now the evaluations can reach to 4.2, 4.4. In the summer I had in a large class, and now 4, average 4, which is high for me because I think it's demanding class.
Okay, that's very good. So, Siti, how about your experience?
Okay, I'm teaching an engineering class. It's pretty different from other courses. We don't have a lot of in-class discussions. Actually, we have to show them all the equations or things like that. And the outcome actually is more on the design part. After the class, can you design something for us? But I want to have a example for you about the the learning outcome. As one of the efforts for the accreditation, we have ABAT accreditation. So in the beginning of the class, we have to offer a prerequisite quiz to see what is their level or what's their background. And before we use the paper form, and this is not required for any student to finish or try their best, because this will not be used in their final grade. So a lot of students will, I actually have an example in one of the slides I showed before. Typically, they trying to finish 2 problems. At the third one, they just leave it blank. They don't want to try because it's not counted. And so when I offer the online learning, there's a hybrid course. So in the beginning, I actually offer this as the online module. So I ask a question. So I ask them, try your best, finish it. And so they tried, but if they fail, now some of them already forgot about what they learned 2 semesters ago. So they fail, then there will be actually a follow-up video to tell you the solution and tell you, give you background, what is this. Then they, will try the second follow-up exercise or quiz, and they actually have to answer it. So they pay attention now. So they have to answer it correctly. And so after that, actually, I see the first time some of them actually will fail. But the second time, after they watch the video, I think 90% will get the answer correct. So that's actually very good, because before we had a problem. After we received the paper format, first of all, the answer maybe the result is not accurate, right? But we will look at the result. Requirement require us to take a look at your result. Okay, so only 40% of the students answer this question correctly, so you have to teach this again. Okay, use maybe 30 minutes to teach this in the classroom. And so we did that. And sometimes actually there's 60% of students did it right. So what you do? It's a hard question. So there are still 40% of students did not know the contents. So when you were offering this, actually 60% of students will get bored. But now it's really nice, setting on the in the Blackboard. It's adaptive release. So if they finish things correctly, they can go quickly. So the result is really good. The learning outcome. This actually, of course, will help me. Before, if there's sometime actually I skip it and say, oh, there are 60% of students already know the contents. I don't need to, spend another 30 minutes. So I ask the 40% of students say, go back, read this problem. But a lot of them won't read. But now they will watch the video and they will answer the question. You can see the result. And even one thing I was very happy about was some students actually, even they answer the question correctly first time, they want to watch the answer video again and trying to do the follow-up. They are overachievers. Yeah, they like they say I actually later on I did this implement this in the second offering. I have a lot of course module, and once they failed one exercise, I will ask them to watch the video. And some students say that, okay, Dr. CJ, I actually did the things right, but I want to watch that video, because usually if you answer that correctly, you can go directly to the next one. But a lot of students ask me, say, put the video online, I want to watch it. So that's actually something make the learning outcome really good. I can actually see the result is much better. Of course, one thing is, my students, first time I offered the course, so I only got a 28 or something. Then we increased the student to 35 and then to 40 now. It's not a required course, and this is actually mainly for my concentration. My concentration is not big, but a lot of other concentration students want to take it, use as an elective for them. So that's why I see this actually have become popular. So that's actually they asked me to offer this in summer, and I probably won't be able to do that. But the outcome of this hybrid delivery is actually good, really good in my case.
That's very good.
Yeah.
So this is what I find interesting about this is that you both, Bruce and you both had different ways of looking at solving the student preparedness problem, right? And this is just, I'm bringing it out because when you, as the rest of you are thinking about developing blended courses, hybrid courses, this tells you how much you're rethinking or thinking through the strategies of what works for you is going to make your course different. Right? We all teach differently. Your students are going to react differently to your subjects, and there's different ways of doing this. So there won't be a templatized way of getting started off with teaching hybrid courses. I bring that up because we get that question a lot actually. So do you have a template I can use to get my course started in a hybrid format? No, because these examples tell you that, because Bruce realized the first 10 minutes, spending time going over his previous case study was much more useful to get the course moving along. And for CJ, it's a video online that they go through and learn the content they're missing. So it's very different ways of doing things. Since we're talking about all that, it struck me that we talked about students and the student learning outcomes are pretty good. But let's talk about outcomes for you as faculty. And by that I mean, there's obviously a time investment that has gone into this. Do you have an estimate of how much time you spent on creating the course? How much time do you spend right now? Is it teaching the course? Worth it, not worth it? And worth it could be because everything is working well and you're now fluent in technology, so you're good. The worth it could also be that your chair says, "Great job, CJ," and is your free ride on your service award or something, or however they decide to do it. I know communication does change the part slightly differently based on whether you're doing it for the first time or not. So let's talk a little bit about that, about value as faculty member. So why don't we start off with Viviana?
I invested about 7 months to create the modules. I worked with a student who took the class. And he was not the best grade in the class, but he had a skill that I needed. And he was very savvy with technology, multimedia, and everything. That was the best thing so we work, and the main job was in collecting, and me writing, but in collecting the images to make a course that has some visual, some appealing, some graph. If we talk about diffusion of innovation theory in Latin America, we want some graph, we want some images, we want some pictures. But then soon we realized that whatever we use, we have to deal with copyright. So that involved meeting with people at the library. I don't recall her name right now, but we had meetings after meeting with Diane Green, with I don't remember her name.
Posey?
I think yes, that's her name. And just to clarify, so we end up using a limited set of resources because of copyright issue. So the recordings, everything has to be like ready for release, for delivery. Me, nice clothing, making up, or just to make up to be in camera. Always thinking on him, on the student, on how to replace the lack of interaction. So it took me 7 months. I didn't have a grant. I didn't have anything. I just did it on top of my courses. But it was stressful. I mean, that would be at the institutional level. I don't know. We have to have some assistance in order to do that. It involved many people in online learning. It involved Diana. It involved other people that helping me. It involved Jose Carrillo's time. So it was a team. I produced this as a video material as a team.
And so do you think the time So you're right.
Oh,
So,
I'm very happy with the course. I'm just, but the problem is that me and my students see it. Nobody else can see this. I don't know any of my other colleagues' courses. I don't know if they use videos. I have no idea. That part, it's blank for me.
but isn't that true of face-to-face teaching too, when nobody else sees other than you and your students?
That's true.
So in that sense, it doesn't vary much, except in the hybrid course, we can actually make a course available as needed if you're willing to share it with people. Right? So, which we're happy to do, by the way. So for all three of you, that's the last question I was going to ask you, is if you are willing to let us copy your course and share it with the people attending the session so they get to see what you're doing. We'll remove all the students, of course. We can do that, but that was my last question. But let's go on to see, JiaBin. What do you think? I mean, I know you have put a lot of time on your course. So
You're right. You're right. In the first day of the class, I told my students, say, it's a hybrid. We only meet once a week, but it's not 50% of your work. You need to spend much more. It's a 120%. I told them. And actually, for me, I probably spend first year. Okay, first year it's maybe one lecture usually is 1 hour and 15 minutes, right? To prepare that lecture, usually it will be 2 days job for me. Because as I mentioned, I'm not using the PowerPoint. I use my handwriting, record my handwriting, show them step by step how I got this part and how we design. Now sometimes I open up another window in using MATLAB, a software, and show them, here is the result I will put into this window. So my son knows every after 10 o'clock I will go downstairs and record a video, and the editing part actually actually cost me a lot of time. You cannot do it on a weekend because my neighbor's dog will bark. You will have those kind of things in your background. So sometimes actually, there are some things happening. Then you have to go back to listen to this video, and you just need to cut it. And it's actually it cost me a lot of time. And but second year, I trying to revise it. It's actually things become much better. Because I have most of the module, I listen to them one more time, but there's something I need to modify, and I modified, and also there are some online modules and also the online exercise added. But it actually saved me a lot of time. And this time actually it's even better. Starting from this semester, I become the interim chair of the department, so I have no time at all. So, but now it's actually a peace of mind. Say, oh, tomorrow I don't have class. I just need to put this online. And one suggestion, actually one recommendation is you got to have a very good TA. If you have a very good TA, I'm very fortunate to have 3 good TAs. First one, actually, I supported through the grant, okay, so from the online learning office. But the second one, that time I was not chair yet. Our chair actually support one. And this time they gave me a grader, but they are all very good. So they actually answer, we have to administrate the online courses, and there's a lot of things actually will happen. The students say, oh, this course there are some things not there, and the TA actually will answer that immediately, say, oh, you need to go to this place to find it. So from now, actually this semester is really a time saver for me. So I think it's really worth it, and I'm actually I recommend this to my fellow colleagues. They actually developed something. Last year, actually, we founded something in the department. So they developed some online modules, put them in the Blackboard, and the student response is pretty good. So we're trying to, if we have fun, and we want to try to keep doing.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So third time's a charm, would you say?
Yeah.
It's for some of you. Has anybody in the room gone through a hybrid academy? Other than you. But a few, you have gone through one, I think, right? And all 3 of you have gone through. One of the things we talk about in the Hybrid Academy is this idea that teach the course at least 2 or 3 times, because the first time is the hardest time. But I'll tell you, to echo what the panel has said, I've been teaching online and hybrid courses for a long time, 14, 15 years maybe. And if any of you walked in my office, it looks like a war zone. And you think that there's no way this person is organized. The only time I'm organized is for my online and hybrid courses. Because all my courses are structured, and you realize very quickly that to teach in these formats, you have to be very structured. You need to know what's coming and be prepared and watch out for what's happening in your class so that you can modify what happens online. Because both of those, the online and face-to-face portions, need to mingle. They need to not be disparate things. As for example, don't do only testing online and then the fun stuff face-to-face, because then it's kind of pointless. So you have to rethink what you do. And it's worth it. It really is worth it. I mean, to me, I've got folders. People get amazed when they walk in and see folders for classes with days marked on, including I build in mistakes in my lectures to keep people on the track, because I award points for mistakes they find. So I throw in a deliberate mistake and see if they catch it. If they catch it, they get extra points, right? But it's all built in and planned out. So, but it's very interesting to see that at least everybody, gladdening to hear that everybody thinks it's all been pretty worth it to spend the time. So, what tools do you find yourself using the most in Blackboard? What do you think?
Well, I'm probably not a very good example because I did the hybrid academy, and it was a great start. I mean, we know we talked about every class is different in terms of there's no specific structure that you can go and plug your class into, but the hybrid academy does a really nice job of you walk out with a syllabus that you have crafted over the last 4 days that you've taken your existing syllabus and you've now turned it into something that could be a hybrid class. The slightly more challenging part for the hybrid academy for me was that at the time the recommendation was that we should use a program called SoftChalk, and nothing at all against SoftChalk. I think it's a wonderful program. That wasn't the direction I wanted to go with my hybrid class, and so I had a very specific idea in my mind about what I wanted my class to look like. And so that was what led me to initially speak with Marcella and then eventually work with Diana about how this class is going to look. And so we ended up using another program called Articulate Storyline for my class, which rests on top of Blackboard. The students only use Blackboard then to do a module quiz at the end of each of my 12 modules. Everything else happens within this Articulate Storyline program that rests on top of Blackboard.
Talk about planning. So give us a little bit more detail about how much planning was involved in coming up with these modules that are working reasonably well.
Yeah, so, much like what you folks talked about, you have an idea of what your class, what you want your class to look like. I know how I teach this material live, in person. For me, so my class is a required class. It's all seniors have to take it. And so, no offense to seniors in the College of Business at UTSA, but by the time they get to my class, they see the stage in their diploma, right? And so they oftentimes enter my class highly extrinsically motivated to just get through the class. And so oftentimes the first, couple months of my class, I try to get them intrinsically motivated. This badge is really cool for a lot of reasons, other than the fact that you'll actually get a degree after this class. And so that's hard enough to do in person. When you move this stuff online, it became more of a challenge. And so a lot of the planning that went in for me was, okay, how can I take content where, if I was in class, I would say, hey, this is what a capability in an organization looks like. Now let's talk about a current event. Let's talk about Apple Computer and how they have capabilities. Let's kind of define this. Well, you can't necessarily do that online or in this Articulate Storyline program. So a lot of the planning was more just a lot of brainstorming with Diana and Marcella about, okay, well, if we want to put a game in here, to keep their interest, right? If we wanted to, I want to drop a video in, right? So I didn't use Jose and the video group here. I would have loved to, but I ended up with something like 75 5-minute videos. And so I basically set up my own little recording studio in my house and, tried to not record when the dogs were barking. And so, so a lot of planning of, okay, well, I'm trying to imagine, how far back have the students' eyes rolled in their head at this point watching this module? I need to bring them, back to reality. Let's drop a video in. Or hey, you know what? Let's try to make this, a game. Let's do some matching. Let's have them drag and drop some things on the screen. And so that's where the planning took place. I knew the content. I've been teaching this class for quite a while. It was making it relevant and interesting for them. So that is by far the biggest time sink for me is the planning, and then going to Brian and saying, "Hey, I want to do this," and Diana would say, "Oh, okay, all right, let me get back to you on that," and so that was the process.
So what tools do you use, Viviana? Looks like you do a lot in the Blackboard itself, right?
Yeah, they can't survive this class without Blackboard. They have to be connected. I do announcements. I use announcement just to reminder quiz is closing tonight, tomorrow. So there is an accountability in which they cannot tell me, "Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I missed the deadline." No way, because I have the tracking. They cannot tell me, "Oh, it closes." No, because you were entering to the quiz 5 minutes before it closed. So I try to be interactive with them. The interactivity is just I try to keep it. So announcement, group work. They have to upload the files. They have to do a video production in group. They have to exchange files. I go to the group and I check for the material that they've been uploading. They do quizzes online. They don't do exam. I do the exams in classroom. They do discussion blog. They have to answer to another classmate, so I need to keep them engaged. In the grade, I have a column that is accumulated. They know from the first week where they're getting grade what percentage. So they know if it's a C, a D, or not. They know by each grade that I'm posting is associated with the percentage, so they know that. Then I use films on demand. From the modules, I have links to the library when the movie is available, so they can see a film. And if it's not available, I write to them, and then I ask them to mainstream or digitize for me. So I try to do that. They upload assignments, they upload videos, every study guide, everything is there.
So you essentially use every tool that exists in Blackboard right now, from the sounds of it.
I used to use Wimba, but not anymore. They gotta do it in YouTube. They gotta do the videos with. Oh, and also, I ask, because I have this requirement of a video. Okay, so how are we gonna do the video? So I asked Jose to create tutorials. So he used to come to my class and give a lecture on how do you do your videos. But he did it like for 2 years, for 2 or 3 semesters, 3 semesters. And then finally he said, I'm gonna create tutorials. So he created 9 tutorials from the writing aspect, the collection of the images, to the editing. So the students have been accumulating this library of information. I also have videos with samples of best work from previous semesters, sample for best comment, sample for best essay, sample for everything, for videos. And one student wrote in the evaluation, he said, she wants us to our work be like the samples. Hello? That's what the samples are there. So I told them, this video got $400 in Colfa conference. So I said, this is my best video so far. And they they know that the standard is up there.
That's a good way of giving them the standards they should live up to, right? And that's what we need to do. So yeah, what tools do you use that you find most effective?
I actually use the adaptive releasing, right? That's actually, I already mentioned, if they fail something, they will actually branch to somewhere else to watch the video. And if you did very good, then you can go straight to different. Of course, there's other branching. If you have problem with certain things, you will actually go to another video to help you, or some other follow-up exercise. So the adaptive releasing mechanism is actually very helpful for me. And there's another thing is actually I use quite often is all the data we have generated, because right now it's a big data area. So the student actually have all those scores actually recorded in the online module, right? Online exercise, follow-up quiz, we don't actually use them a lot to generate their final grade, but I do see them. Some of them actually I hide from the student because I don't want them be bummed with a lot of scores which will not be in their final. But I do see them. I can see all those grades actually what they did, how long they spent online, and if they finish this early or not. But so I have a face-to-face classroom session today for Clark. So usually in the morning I will actually look at all those data to see how they did in the online session of last Thursday, right? Thursday. So if they actually messed up a lot of problems, or even in their follow-up they still have problem, then in the class I want to emphasize this part. So this is it's adaptive releasing in the online session, but in the class, in the face-to-face classroom, I have to use the data I see, and I will analyze a little bit to see which topic I should probably review it, or maybe spend a little bit more time on this subject. So this is another adaptive teaching methods I use. So this is the two tools I use actually a lot from the Blackboard. And those things won't available if it's not online, because you don't have those grades. And also, one thing I forgot to tell you is before for that prerequisite quiz, usually it will take me 2 weeks to analyze all the data, but now it's instant, right? If they made a mistake, they will be pumped to finish something, and I can see the data right away. So the score. That's the best thing about this online releasing.
That's great to hear, because you're using data as a way to inform all your next classes. Everything is woven in pretty well. So, Viviana, you talked about exams. So, how many of you do any of you do exams, final exams, final exams for your classes?
I have actually I have 2 exams. Actually, they are not online. They have to come to the classroom. So it's a closed book, closed notes exam. But as I mentioned, it's an engineering class. I have a final project, which is actually a lab. The good thing is, since I'm teaching an online hybrid course, I don't want them come to my lab. Usually, in the past, they come to my lab, schedule a time, they come to the lab and work on my equipment. Now, incorporate this online delivery methods. Actually, I bought those small device. It's made by a National Instrument in Austin, and each team actually will get a small lab equipment, and they can design a controller, and then they can actually upload the video if they want to show me that it's working, because I want them to control the fan at certain heights. It's a simulating helicopter. So it's a very small one. They don't need to come to your lab anymore. They actually take it home, and I call this the home lab. Because right now that lab space is another problem in addition to the classroom, and they actually like it, and because they got gain hands-on experience, and also they don't need to come to your lab. So that's the best part. So these 2 things actually work very well. It's a best combination.
That's great. Viviana, you do exams in class?
Yeah, I want to stay with them. Yes, I don't want any filtration or anything online. I really take care of the exam. But I don't do final. I mean, I stopped doing because they have a final project, and also because I keep them busy from day one. So the modules have been released weekly, and they have assignment. I mean, they have at least 2-3 days. The weekend is crucial for them, and they have to be on that. And then we meet now this week. We meet on Tuesday, but on Thursday they have things available. So they should, like you said in the training, you gotta consult this class. I mean, you gotta access Blackboard at least 3 times a week. Yeah, that has to happen. That has to happen.
Do you do exams too?
I do, yeah. So I do. I have module quizzes that are 10% of the student's grade, and then I have a midterm and a final, and those are all online for me. And then what I did was, the intent behind the module quizzes was I encouraged the students to have the module up while they're taking it. I wanted them to I wanted them to have a free 10%, 100 for 10% of their grade in the class, but I want them to kind of go through the process of learning kind of these key ideas in these module quizzes. And then I have, like I said, a midterm and a final that are both online. And for those, what I've done is I've created a test bank of questions, probably, I don't know, 150, 200 questions or something like that, and that are associated with all the different modules. And then for the midterm and the final, they have 60 minutes to take a 50-question test. There's no backtracking. So once they answer a question and press save and move forward, that question's gone. They can't go back. And each test randomly pulls from this test bank, so no two students get the exact same test. And so I do that for both the midterm and the final. And then the other portions of my grade, the vast majority of my grade comes from class contribution and what the students discussing and applying these ideas in class.
So let's talk about what I'm sure is on everybody's mind. And the moment we talk about online quizzing and testing is, do you worry about the student being who they claim they are when they're taking the test? If so, why not? If not, why not? And if so,
Do I worry?
yeah. I mean, I actually don't. So I'll be upfront. I actually don't worry about it because I do these really short time quizzes that are concept-based, they're conceptual quizzes. So I don't worry about it. But it is on everybody's mind. So it's worthwhile discussing it because we should discuss these things. Not everything is comfortable. So.
Yeah, and it's a good question. I think, so there's a testing center here.
Sure.
And we could do the test there and have them come in and show their ID and verify they're this person. Because my tests are timed, I don't know that it's not a major concern. I will say, for me personally, I will say though that, I think we were all learning about how to teach hybrid classes, and so one of the lessons that I've learned is that, I need to continue to push more of the students' grades to in-class activities. And so, my view is that the stuff that I teach them online, that stuff, if you were interested enough, you can get a strategic management textbook and learn this. It's essentially commoditized, right? The knowledge is out there for anybody who's interested in finding it. The value I think I bring to the students is getting them to apply it in a realistic way, in a way that they might actually be faced with when they go out into their own careers. And so as I've kind of developed and kind of taught these classes over the last few semesters, I continue to push more of my students' grades to the online portion, to the applied portion, and I treat the tests and the quizzes as, do you care enough to spend the time to learn it, right? I almost kind of have the old doctor's perspective, right? You go to the doctor says, oh, Bruce, well, you have high blood pressure, your cholesterol is terrible, you really need to get an exercise more, and you need to stop eating trans fats. It's up to me to go do that, right? It's up to the student to learn the material, right? But when they're in class, I can actually say, okay, so-and-so, let's apply this idea to this company, right? Let's talk about how Coke and Pepsi respond to this kind of rivalry that they have, right? And they have to use the concepts and apply those in this kind of real-world setting. That's where I can actually figure out whether they know stuff or not.
Perfect. So last two questions, I think, before we open it up to the attendees. What's some advice? What advice would you give to people starting off new to hybrid learning? Let's start, CJ.
My advice I already gave is find a good TA, right? Which will help you. But in addition to that, I think you have to be very, very organized, and you have to be on top of everything. You cannot let because we only have a short window for a student to take the online session. Okay, but the student will actually wait, until the last minute. But at the last minute, maybe the power is out, maybe the computer is down. So What I did actually, this is actually I learned after the first time. So a second time I gave them bonus. If you finish this by midnight of the Thursday, I give you bonus. So I give them extra bonus, and they can drop the lowest quiz. And if you got more, you actually get a little bit more on the attendance point. So this actually helped a lot. So the student right now, they won't wait until the last minute. They want trying to finish as early as possible, because we know that, right? You know, they want to say, oh, I want to do this in weekend, but weekend there's always other plans, and they wait until the Monday. Then something happened. It's no longer online. Right? I have to stop them actually by the noon of the Monday. Say you cannot take it anymore, because if you the earlier take, they actually they can spend time on homework and other things. So that's the thing. You can think about how you enforce online attendance. That actually is helpful. Students will trying to skip it if there's nothing they can see. Rewarding. Have to give them reward. So that's the lesson I learned, and which actually is a good advice. I think will help the outcome, the student learning outcome.
Yeah, in terms of getting started, I would say that you should all rest easy, because you all teach your classes, and so you all have your content, right? So you know what you need to teach. In terms of getting started, in terms of hybrid courses, I think, I don't want it to sound like a horrible promotion for the Hybrid Academy, but
We'll take it.
yeah, it's a great way. It's a great way to kind of get you guys thinking about, okay, how could my class look in a hybrid format, right? What are some of the challenges, right? So OIT, you guys know the research. You guys know, at one point I wanted to, change some things up in the structure of my class, and Diana said, well, research suggests that really, the students do better if they see the same structure over and over and over again. And that may be repetitive to you, but they become accustomed to seeing things in a certain way. And if you change that up, then they have to learn this new way of interacting with your course, in addition to learning the content of the course, right? So there's a lot of stuff that you can learn in this Hybrid Academy. That's a great kind of jumping off point. And, and then in terms of just, it takes a lot of time, especially if you, really want to kind of personalize it and make it what I think, a good course. But once you put that work in, then it's just maintenance. So that's kind of the benefit that I'm receiving now is I put a lot of time in to create the course, but now I'm just kind of maintaining it and keeping it up to date, and so I'm enjoying it now.
It's one of the same people that we read about, right? I've always thought that when you build that course is built, then you can actually focus on just the teaching aspect of it, and focusing on the student, and seeing to what CJ was saying, look, being able to have the time to look at the data and continuously evaluate what you're doing to make sure that every class is meeting the needs of the student. And I think that does help when you organize and things are technology enabled to give you those insights. Viviana, any new things other than organization? Organize. What I hear,
yeah,
yes,
organization is the best outcome for me. You become very aware of how you're doing things and how they look like. You become the audience too, because you enter as a student and you see how the students are seeing this, and if they don't understand, and also you're writing. In my case, I was writing my lectures, so whatever point I wanted to say, whatever concept is already there. And maintenance, I agree that you have to do maintenance, but I don't want to have my videos 5 years over there. So I think I'm going to go to Jose again. We need to do new recordings, because that was to start. And now I think I need to get more loose and probably incorporate more videos, more images to my videos. So it's been a great experience, and they asked me to do it in the summer, to do an online version. I don't know how different it is from, it's already the student feel the need to meet more. But one thing I have to say here is that why do we meet when we meet? In any given semester, we meet 14 times. That is once a week. But they stressed in the training that we meet to discuss. That is hard to implement. We meet to discuss. Okay, let's discuss. Here are the discussion questions, let's talk. They look at you like, what? They expect the professor to go to the blackboard or to go to the podium and teach and pontificate and lecture them. They still want to be the passive. So what I do now, I come up with things that you can stick on the wall. Okay, 3, 3, 3, group of 3. Let's work. Okay, development. I mean, explain me the wall system theory. Put it there and explain dependency theory and in your own words. So they do drawings, they do stuff. But you have to be very creative. And are they learning? Well, if they did the reading, if they took the quest, if they participate in the discussion, yes, they should. But they still expect. So there is in the training, in the culture of our students, that they still are very passive.
So that can affect the outcome essentially, right? So last question really is about scholarship. Have any of you thought about the scholarship of teaching and learning or acquired articles or conference papers in the work you've done as part of your hybrid courses? Have you looked at opportunities for scholarship? Is it encouraged?
We, in our department actually, we submitted 3 proposals to NSF about this, trying to extend this to the online and hybrid teaching. Unfortunately, we have not got any funded, but we are still pursuing this goal. We're trying to, because we saw this is new, and we're trying to extend this to other courses, especially those courses with high DFW rate. And actually, some of our faculty members already attended the hybrid academy, so we are keep trying to, we keep actually encouraging them to do this, but also we're trying to see if there's opportunity from Department of Education and also NSF, to get a proposal and we can do more research on this part. So if we got this money funded, then of course we will write a journal on this teaching methods. But right now it's still out of the scope. Yeah. This is something we're trying to do, but not now.
Yeah, IEEE in fact once in a while puts out a special issue just focusing on engineering education. So.
There's also ASE
Yeah.
meeting. We actually went to this meeting, but we have not written a conference paper yet. But the former associate in Madhu Sharma is also the director for the CE3. That's the Center for Education, Engineering Education Excellence. We wrote a proposal together. We actually went to ASE. But this is something probably we'll do in the future. It's adaptive teaching methods in engineering class, because engineering is a little bit different from other courses.
Viviana?
Well, I think I would like to do it collaborative. I mean, I don't have a major training on instructional design or anything like that. I'm just doing out of coming from the visual aspect of my formation. So I'm willing to participate with someone and just contribute to that. But also regarding to the future of this, I'm not quite clear what are the institutional goals here on promoting this. I know that we're behind UT Arlington and that we haven't reached to that level. So I would like to hear from you a little bit of that. But also, besides those institutional needs to have more classroom space or I don't know what are the economic, financial benefits for the university, there is for me the need to socialize knowledge. So I think this is a fun and an easy way to disseminate what we do here. And I see that this could be, any of us could do people's seminars, city seminar, and you will be surprised how the retiree people come to hear lectures at the university. So, or people in the community. So I see my more into a social aspect of this creation. 1 or 2 modules would be nice to disseminate and have a teaching moment here. Certificates, like you were, a certificate in global media or whatever, a certificate in development. I mean, we can do it fully online. I'd see that if it's not on just conference or colloquium stuff like that, it could be on certain short programs that the university could benefit by. I see the socialization aspect of the knowledge here as from my point of view.
Yeah, in terms of academic or scholarly outcomes, so I presented with Marcella and Diana at the Internet and Online IOL conference last spring.
Innovations in online learning.
Innovations in online learning, yes. And then I'm lucky enough to have a journal in my field that's fairly well thought of, the Academy of Management Learning and Education Journal. And so I'm in the process of using the stuff that we've worked on on our hybrid class, in addition to some of the stuff I've done in my traditional classes on a publication.
That's good. So thank you for the great questions. So in case you're wondering why the questions I asked, is because we had asked people what they want to know more about hybrid courses early this semester, early last semester. And the questions that derived were based on what people wanted to learn about. So I figured most of you are here to learn more about how to do these courses. We worry about a few things. Are the students learning? How much time am I going to spend on it? Is there any tangible benefit for me? Because there should be some benefit for us, some academically or somewhere otherwise. So we tried to get through questions like that. To answer Viviana's query about where the institution is, we actually have a developed online plan that is now available on the global site. So you can look that up. The priority is to serve our students first. So when you go out and look at Arlington, we tend to look at increasing our market share. At UTSA, the tactic has been to not try to increase market share, but to make sure that everything we do benefits our students. Right? That's the question about student learning outcomes. Is to make sure that we actually do something to benefit our students, to help them along, give them exposure to different ways of learning and thinking. Because as I think Viviana pointed out, that we talk about active learning a lot, but our students are passive learners. And trying to get them in the active learning mode means you are probably going to take a hit the first time it's active learning techniques in the class. There's a good chance. They get used to it, and then they really start liking it, and then they cannot go back. But that's the reality of it. So without further ado, I would like to give the panel a round of applause for their questions.